A little while ago, I did a video on the little things that make my life easier. One of the things that I mentioned in that video is this electric air duster. This thing is made of almost all plastic. It's a little bit bulky, but what if there was a more compact, more powerful, well-built turbo version of this? There is. Let's get into it. Air dusters have been around for a while. You've probably used one or seen one before in an office setting in the form of these cans right here. I started using these when I built custom PCs back in the day. This was a great way to clean out the internal components of a PC. My name is Patrick and this is Everyday Tech for everyday people. And today we're taking a look at this little electronic air blower from VSGO. Now, full disclosure, Gear, a company that sells photo and filmmaking gear, reached out to me and asked me if I would like to review this product. Although they did send this to me for free, they're not seeing this video before it goes up. All my opinions are my own. So Gear sells photo and filmmaking gear. So does this blower fall into that category? It can, and they do market it as a device you can use to clean out dust on your photo and video gear, such as your lens or even clean out your camera sensor. Now, in cleaning out your camera sensor, let me say up front, don't use one of these other products to do it. You might ruin your sensor or get it more dirty, but I fully trust this device to do it, and I'll explain why later in this video. Here we have the VSGO box. It has the logo on the outside. Everything is kind of embossed or imprinted on here. It tells the series, the name, the model, and the color of here. Also gives us a picture of what we get in the box. We have two attachments. We have the blower itself, the battery pack, and a USB-C cable here. So I've already broke the seal on this already, just to kind of save time. But let's go ahead and open up the box. Here we start with their brand story here, so you can read all about that later on. I'll put it up here if you want to read that and pause the video. But let's go ahead and open this up. First thing we'll see is we do have an air filter here. So this does have an air filter on one end. How often we need to replace that, we will see. If air is blown out, air does need to come in. So I'm glad they do have an air filter. We'll see if that's even needed for this to operate, but it's a nice thing to have. And you do have a picture of the different parts of the unit itself. Okay. Then starting from the left side here, we have our two attachments. This has a little brush on here. This would be useful, especially for keyboards. We have another nozzle here or attachment. This will really direct our air in a very direct way or very narrow way. Then we have our little instruction manual here. This is both in English. This is just an English one actually. And it does have some instructions and warranty information on the unit itself. We do have a USB-A to USB-C cable, so I'm glad that all these units or all new devices, they need to have USB-C. Okay, here is the battery pack itself, and then we have the actual unit, the blower unit. So we attach this to here, and we should be pretty much ready to go. I have not charged this up. I don't know if there's any charge left in this, but we will find out. And yeah, I'm excited to use this. This is a very well-built piece of gear. This is all metal design here. And there's a release here, I believe. Yep. And you can buy additional batteries, but I'm not sure if you do or not really need it. This, I believe, has a 1200 milliamp hour battery. We'll see how long that lasts. It says up to about 59 to 60 minutes of use. That might be on low power. So there's different speed modes here. This thing is built like a tank. Even one of the Amazon listings, it's titled Military Industrial Style Electric Blower. This is an all metal design, very well engineered, very hefty. This thing really looks like it take a beating. And you can definitely bring it on location with you if needed. Now, this thing comes in two parts, the battery unit and the actual blowing unit itself. This having a detachable battery means two things, at least two things. You can buy additional batteries if you need it. Another thing is, although the design is pretty compact, you could detach the unit while in transport to have an even more compact design. Now, the front and back of the battery has a rubber strip that makes it very easy to grip as well. As far as the main blowing unit is concerned, it has an all-metal design as well. There is a CNC engineered fan with a turbocharged motor, which they claim it can spin up to 100,000 RPM or revolutions per minute. Like any of these type of electric blowers, it has at least two openings, one for the intake and one for the outtake. On the front, you can put any number of different attachments for different use cases. Now, they do have separate attachments that you can be used for, let's say, air mattresses and air cushions. They did send me these attachments, but you have to buy them as part of a kit or buy them separately as well. Now, the intake section has a little tab or cover that can be detached to insert a filter. Now, I'll get into more why you need this filter when we get into the use cases. Now, operating the air blower is very easy. Now, before you do, of course, you need to charge it up. You can do so via the USB-C port that can be found at the bottom of the battery unit. This has a 1200 milliamp hour battery, which they claim can do up to 60 minutes of operating power. This is probably on the lowest setting, but I won't be testing out the battery life here in this video. Now, one thing to note is you can't operate the unit while it's plugged in. Next to the charging port, you'll find two buttons. One button is the on and off button, and the other is for turning on a small LED light that can be found right next to that same area as well. Now, you do have to hold the buttons for at least a second to activate them with decent force, which is a positive so you don't accidentally turn on the blowing unit or turn on the LED light. Once the unit is on, the LED lights on the front of the battery will light up to tell you which mode or fan speed you have it set to. And then to operate the unit, you just simply press the button or trigger in front and you're ready to go. Now, you can change the speed or power levels with a single press of that power button, and there are 3 different levels that you can set it to. As I mentioned in the beginning, Per Gear markets this as a piece of photo or video gear. Now, let's talk about that use case. This air blower is very useful in cleaning off dust off your lenses and other camera gear, but you can also use it to blow off dust off your camera sensor, which you should always be very careful actually in doing so. Now, I wouldn't recommend using one of these compressed air cans or these cheaper blowers. With the air cans, sometimes it blows off additional things into the sensor, and then with these cheap blowers, you have to intake air in order to blow out air. So you could be potentially introducing more dust into the sensor. This is where the filter comes in for the VSGO. Now, these filters claim to be able to filter out 99.97% of dust and pollen. Of course, you can take one of those cheap handheld blowers to do the job, but I can see this being very useful on location, in a remote location, especially when you have a lot of gear to clean. And because of the build quality of this, you can be assured that this can take a beating and really travel with you well. Let's demonstrate using the air mattress attachments. Now, normally I would use one of these pumps that you have to plug in, or you can buy a small battery-operated pump that are pretty inexpensive. So don't buy this air blower mainly for the purposes of inflating mattresses. But you'll see in a moment how well this works. Now, for my quick test, the dedicated air pump was definitely faster, but having something that is battery powered is definitely more convenient. This not only helps you inflate mattresses, but also deflate mattresses as well by putting some of the attachments on the other side. There are other attachments that you can use that can be used for blowing up other inflatable things as well. Unfortunately, there's nothing for car tires. It would probably need a bigger battery. This can be used as a duster. As I mentioned before, I use these can ones to clean out the inside components of a PC, which you still can. Now, these days, a lot of people use these dusters to clean out the insides of their keyboards. Now, if you've never done so, whether on your laptop keyboard or an external keyboard, you should. You might be shocked at how much stuff there is in there. I also use these electronic dusters to clean off the dust off my physical desktop. I mentioned before in a previous job, I saw a coworker using one of these canned blowers to blow off the dust off their desk. Don't do that. These have relatively short lifespans and they are not cheap. Now, if you're one that builds or maintains or repairs PCs for a living, this could be a valuable tool, but don't get this just for the purposes of dusting only. The other thing is, this is a blower only, so don't forget to vacuum. So what do I think of the VSGO electronic air blower? This is definitely a premium product that can be used for a number of different things. With its all-metal design and rugged build, this is something that seems like it'll last for a long time. But would I recommend buying one of these? Well, it depends on your use case. If you're a professional photographer, and especially if you're on remote locations a lot, this is a very valuable tool that you know that can travel well with you. Even if you're not traveling much, you may not realize how much dust is in your house or in your studio. I've been testing this out for a short while in my office, and I was shocked of how much dust it collected on the filter itself. As far as other use cases are concerned, other than maybe PC repair or maintenance, there are probably other better products or cheaper options out there. There is no doubt that this is a premium product, but the value for everyday use may or may not be there for you. Now that's something that you'll have to decide in your situation. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and consider hitting that subscribe button. Until the next one, see ya.